Thank you for staying tuned. This is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. And now straight to the Trend Watch segment where we check something trending across the news platforms, perhaps the social media. Let's see what Nigerians are saying. Perhaps you have a say as well. You can drop it in the comments wherever you're watching on Facebook and then I wanted to say Instagram, but YouTube. But something to see here with this morning. Something of interest. When it's not a dance trend. But of course, yes, this is Trend Watch now. And Ebonyi businessman accuses ex-governor Umahi of using road expansion as pretext to grab his land for private plaza. This is not very unfamiliar. This is something we've seen even in some states before. But something, perhaps you think this is not a good way to go for governors?
Well, you know, governors in Nigeria have usually had reasons to demolish properties and in the name of expansion of roads, which is good. It's you know, it comes with development. But when after road expansion, lands are being grabbed or taken from people, then you ask the question of where is the transparency in all of this, and of course being able to do the right thing by the people. It's quite unfortunate that the Minister of Works, who some people are saying yes is a working Minister of Works, actually, is in this mess. However, I want to link this back to something I saw on social media a few days ago about a woman who accused Dave Umahi of not paying her. I think that's about 300 million. 250 million, yes. Because it wasn't quite clear. At the point she mentioned 250, at the point she mentioned 300. So you were not really be clear about what the price is. But then she came out and you know, said something about the fact that Dave Umahi has failed to pick her phone calls for some time now. And you know, there were sexual advances, and then she turned him down, and then that was how all the supplies she made, she could not get her money back. But people have asked questions on that particular one. What did you supply? Which was not part of the conversation the woman had. What did you supply the Umahi privately? That, you know, that made him owe you so much money. But that is just another question for another day. Probably when we talk about that particular one. But as it stands, I think pressure groups, civil society organizations, there should be a creation of organizations that holds governors accountable for some of the things they do and the steps they do. A very good instance is what is going on in Oyo State too. The circular road, I've seen a lot of demolitions. As at last week, when, you know, some people in those areas believe, you know, that might just be the end of demolitions in their area. You know, tractors, caterpillars went in there, and then demolitions continues. Despite the fact that the governor made a promise that for now there will be no demolition. We want to do an assessment of what this place looks like and measure the kilometers and distances or meters.
And maybe the buffer too as
well. Yes, and all of a sudden there were demolitions. I saw old women. I mean, these are really old women, probably in their 80s or 90s, saying, where exactly do you want me to go from here? I think before you take food away from people's tables, you must have provided an alternative. Before you take their sources of livelihood or their shelter from them, what exactly have you provided? It is only in Nigeria where nobody does anything the right way, and whoever does it gets blamed for doing it. I mean, as a governor, just ask yourself this question. You slept overnight and you check out of your house, you go out. And by the time you are back, there's no structure for you to lay your head. Yes, you have the capacity to sleep in an hotel before you get another apartment. But just think of yourself as an average Nigerian who has lived in a place for over 30 years, and that's even your village. And someone comes overnight, brings in tractors, caterpillars, and then starts demolishing. No notice, and of course, no, even if there were notice, where do you think they will go? These people, there's no alternative. There's no place to go. Yes, we can say for some who have not built anything on that land, it is still understandable that, yes, probably you get another piece of land somewhere else, and then there will be a
journey continues.
And then the journey continues. But how about people who have lived their lives there? I mean, I was seeing a video of a man who said that was where he was born, that was where he raised his children, and that's where he works. So you have demolished. I mean, it's just as good as, let's say, you destroyed him totally. So I think they should be held accountable for what they do.
Yeah.
The circular road is not an avenue for you to destroy lives. It's an avenue for you to make sure that, yes, Oyo State gets bigger. There's alternative route for people who are coming into Ibadan, who are living in Ibadan. But there should be an alternative for those who are sending away from their homes to.
I think that's a provision that is mostly not looked at when it comes to this kind of things. But, you know, I beg to say, the issue of Makoko is still a conversation ongoing. Well, I know Makoko, you know, and a lot of times we ask, in fact, there was a time, I'll tell you a very quick story. There was a time a governor said he was going to demolish a particular building, and then he did a part of the demolition. And then everybody came to beg, and then that, in fact, it was the one that supervised how they were going to rebuild that particular. So you asked the question, what prompted that in the first place? Okay, you said the building was not structured in a place it should be, that it is just by the road, and it should not be so. You demolished it, and after a while you reconstructed it. So the building as we speak is still there. You know, partial demolition, and then you still like reconstructed. So, but the building is still there as we speak now. But you might want to ask, sometimes it gets so political that you can't even draw the lines between if this is just for the goodwill or for the good, for the better good of the country or for the state, or it's just because you want to show power. Because we've seen cases where it's just about power showing, just about telling you, I'm the governor, I can do whatever I want to do. I'm the minister, I can do whatever I want to do. But I think that's why we have to be careful about this. I'm saying that whenever there's a plan, sometimes I wonder if we, you know, sometimes we make roads in the country, we construct roads, and after some years, they start digging up the roads again. They said they want to pipe it, they want to put some cables on. And I asked the question, what happened to the intelligence that should have come in before this? What happened to the fact that we could have done this thing before we constructed it? Because you are damaging the roads again now to put something there. And let me just, what I'm trying to do,
for future expansion.
That's my point is just that.
If there's going to be cable laying, there should be a space.
That's why we have something called,
when there is time for cable laying,
yes,
you go through this.
There's something called town planning. Town planning is just an English word that means that we can plan the town. We can plan our communities. So we can even have a 50-year plan. So we don't plan nothing. We just come, okay, we want to make roads. There's going to be a buffer. They say 150 meters to the right, 150 meters to this. And all of a sudden, there's 300 meters. It becomes so,
the figures keep escalating.
And you wonder, was there no plan before these things? We just make things. Just all of a sudden, we wake up and say, this I'm doing.
And the blame will go like, oh, I did not start this. Oh,
there was an administration
my predecessor did that. Oh, the one before him did that. I mean, can you be just accountable for once? Can you be just be responsible for your actions?
We can plan
and say, I am doing this.
I learned about
even if it was 20 governors ago that actually made that plan. As a person, you are the one taking this decision now. You are the one sending tractors and caterpillars to these places. Be responsible for once and say, I am doing this.
I did a bit of study on the rail system I think in Europe generally one time, and I discovered they had projects running for 100 years. They had a plan for 100 years to drill some places and make the train tunnels. Tunnels like they call them, for train to pass through them. And they said it was in plan for 100 years before they executed. What happened to that kind of envisage to say we want to build in Nigeria, we want to build our roads in this part of place, and let's have a 100 years plan for it? The
time you will be shocked is that Nigeria will never be able to have any long-term goal or projects done anywhere. I will remind you of the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. And then after that one failed. Okay, that was before year 2000. Okay, by the year 2000, there was nothing you could really point and say this is the MDG. Most of them are dilapidated school structures and some other things like that. And then there came Vision 2020. Okay, from 2000 to 2020, 20 years time frame to actually get some things done in terms of development, education, health, infrastructure, and some other things like that. But unfortunately, it could not be done. Now, what are you looking at now? I'm sure in the next 2 or 3 years, there will be another development plan for maybe another 30 years. And then by that 30 years, if any one of us is still around, God willing, you will see that nothing will be done. I think it's the political will that is not there. They are still talking about the 2024 budget only, at 34%. That of 2025, you cannot be right to me about, and we are still talking about 2026. You see, everything is messed up. This is Nigeria as a country. We have to separate the personal will from political will. You must understand that the people comes first. It's not about you now, it's about the people. So if you are a governor and you have demolished homes with no proper replacement or maybe proper alternative for the people. So who are you governing over when people are dying because you destroy their homes, you destroy their sources of livelihood with no replacements? And some of them even got as low as 250,000 as compensation. I mean, it's quite funny in Nigeria, and this is the only country where that can happen. Let's take comment on this show before we go.
Chete Ize says, these people are tyrants because Nigerians give them a pass. Roland Ojeme says, it was Akpabio, it was Wike, it was Tunji Ojo, now it's Umahi. They're attacking ministers performing under Tinubu. It's too late for 2027.
Well, you might want to say that anyway. You see, it might look like, to some people, it might look like a personal attack. Okay, probably sponsored.
Looking at the patterns of the people that have been called to question.
Might be sponsored, but then away from that, do these people exist? Are there evidences that it was done? These are questions that we'll ask. But then we have to go this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do want to link up with us again tomorrow, same time, same station, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Dominion Television. Of course, the same show and definitely the same host. Until that time, I say when you say something, say something. And when it is time to complain about some things that really do not sit well with you, please do. Samson Balogo is my name. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
And I would say what it takes to be a Nigerian is being responsible. So be a responsible Nigerian, not just a talker, but walk the talk.
Responsible leader too.
Yeah, I think it goes for everybody. My name is Arnold Apoido. Thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the day.